I just came from San Francisco where we had Boza and all these guys.
Yeah.
We need to replace J.J. Watt here. I know we have to have a foundational piece on our defense, and I think Will Anderson out of Alabama is a special player. And Nick Saban, of course,
He's been great.
gave him the highest recommendation. It is one of the best players and leaders we've had. And so now you got both of them. And obviously there was a lot of criticism, or at least, for Houston giving up another, they gave up their own first-round pick next year to go up and get Will Anderson with Arizona. So Arizona feels good about the deal, but they still own Cleveland's pick. And so they still have a first-round pick of Cleveland's. And
they just got their starting quarterback.
And now you got Deshaun Watson hurt, and they're sitting at 5-3, but, wins are going to be hard to come by now with Dorian Thompson Robinson in that division. Cleveland's going to struggle. So if you're Houston, you still may have a middle of the first round kind of draft pick this year, but you have your quarterback of the future.
Who cares what you paid for him?
You have your face of your defense for the future.
It doesn't matter what you gave up to get them if they hit.
And that was the key, right? When they did it, they rolled the dice. They got to be right. And so far, they both look like really good players. And then to draft Tank Dell in the third round.
That's because of a recommendation from your quarterback, C.J. Stroud,
who's turned into one of the best young rookie receivers in the league, and it's fun down in Houston. And
Dalton
meanwhile,
Schultz has worked out really well.
Dalton Schultz was a good signing.
Nice pickup. That
Noah
Brown one was a nice signing too.
And Nico Collins, the receiver who didn't play last week, he was a pick out of Michigan in 2 drafts ago.
He has the highest passer rating when targeted in the NFL right now. Nico Collins does.
Hey, by the way, that's the next thing. Speaking of Michigan, that's the next big conversation tomorrow with that hearing with Jim Harbaugh doing his Judge Judy thing. He'll be showing up at that.
They got to find a way to get cameras in that damn thing.
They do.
They got to find
I
a way
need
to
that.
do. It's just because right now this thing is trending toward being one of the wackiest, craziest stories in modern sports history that we've been able to cover. And now they got Judge Judy stuff involved. What random Judge Judy references? Judge Judy's commenting on this story now. Have you seen that? She made a comment about the Harbaugh family.
What'd she say?
Something about, but basically
we'll do that off the record.
They're great people, so I'll find that comment for you.
Judge Judy, because there's video of Jim Harbaugh at a taping of the Judge Judy show.
It's crazy.
It's so weird. It's almost become like a Coen Brothers movie. The whole thing.
It really is wild,
like one of the. It's like what?
Yeah, what's
Connor Stallions. That guy says that's his real name. By the way, one piece of information on that Michigan story. There is a Freedom of Information Act that was filed. Of course, it's a public university. Connor Stallions, the center of this whole thing, no expense reports filed, Rod. No expense reports filed. So all the tickets.
Also, it was personal. It's like me. I didn't want to be reimbursed.
Well, there's no paper trail from Michigan rubber stamping these things.
Well, he didn't want to be reimbursed. Right? He's basically like, well, if he did, there's no paper trail of it.
Cash homie. Straight cash homie.
Well, then you can separate him from the university and from the program a little bit, right? And from the coaching staff a little bit.
Well, I think that's what Michigan is certainly going to lean on is, look, this guy was doing that on his own.
Yep.
We didn't know that.
Yeah, exactly. If he'd have filed some experience report, then maybe we'd have known what he was doing. Or we'd have got some clues about it.
The investigation should include from the Big Ten, talking to coordinators. Okay, did you know Connor Stallions? What was all this? That needs to play out. But this is a hearing about the temporary restraining order, and can Jim Harbaugh be back on the sidelines against Maryland on Saturday? And, of course, more importantly, the Ohio State game the following Saturday after Thanksgiving, number 2 versus number 3 in the game of the year in the Big Ten, one of the games of the year in college football. And by the way, I don't know that matters. Michigan's going to beat Ohio State, right?
I think so. I would put money on Michigan right now.
Because we're just talking about C.J. Stroud. Ohio State couldn't beat Michigan at home with C.J. Stroud.
With C.J. and all those NFL wide receivers, like 3-4 NFL wide receivers.
They couldn't beat him with that dude. And now they got this other guy who's not as good as C.J. Stroud. And now they have to go to Ann Arbor?
Yeah. I would, like I said, I'd probably lean on putting money on Michigan.
Me too. Even if Jim Harbaugh can't be on the sidelines for the game.
Just symbolic, you know that. He's there putting in the game plan during the week. He's helping coach every day.
He can fly with the team.
Yeah.
He just can't go to the stadium on the day of the game.
Can he communicate with his coaches? Can he call and text?
That I don't know.
That's
I don't believe so.
Because they got to make sure they stipulate that, because he can easily be like, hey, I just saw something. Let me text my coach real quick.
I mean, think about that. I mean, see how good C.J. Stroud is. The Buckeyes with Ryan Day couldn't beat Michigan at home with that guy.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because of points. It was because of the Michigan power on their offense. And
something they did against Penn State. They went power football, old school power football. They basically went up there and played like one of these service academies and didn't throw the ball in the second half at all. With 7 O-line packages.
And won by 9.
They just beat the hell out of them.
And really wasn't that close, because Penn State scored a late touchdown to make it look a little more respect.
They just bullied them.
Yeah, that's the other subplot of this is Michigan might be the best damn team in the country. While all this is happening, there's a hearing Friday as we're talking NFL week kicking off tonight. We got college football hitting its zenith right now. Longhorns headed to Iowa State. We'll go behind the burnt orange curtain coming up.
Yes,
Rod will
sir.
get us the deep dive on this Iowa State defense. And the thing that jumps off the screen, Rod, is their secondary is huge.
Secondary's
They
big.
got a 6'4" safety, 6'2.5" safety. These are big dudes,
They're
man.
hybrid linebackers, basically, that force in the running game.
Well, I want to hear about that and how Texas attacks that, because Longhorns have great weapons, but these are big dudes at the safety position.
Agreed.
Not a great team, but they know what they are.
A sound team.
Yeah,
assignment sound team.
Yeah, Rod will take us behind that BOC. Also, off the record before the end of the hour. Always get those stories that maybe you haven't heard, but you need to hear, because they'll be talked about, and you'll be talking about them. Talk about with Ian Rod B. That comes with pies and candies and all the desserts. Holidays are coming. Of course, next week, 1 week from today, is Thanksgiving. Dale Longhorns will play Texas Tech the day after. In their final regular season game, first things first, though, Iowa State tomorrow night. Also, an off-the-record, Rod, I have some Kelsey Brothers sound, but it has nothing to do with Taylor Swift.
That's good.
They've actually
Ty's going to be happy.
They've actually glossed a new term. You know what the word grundle means?
Grundle. I don't know. It sounds like a reference to like Harry Potter.
No. Ty, do you know what grundle is? You have a definition for grundle?
I think I've heard of it before, but no, I don't think I can tell you.
We'll let the Kelsey brothers bring that to light for you because it'll be etched in your head. We'll have that coming up as well. As we get you rolling, it is a Thursday into the weekend with a great game tonight on Thursday Night Football. A lot of a good football conversation for sure. Talking about Michigan on the way to the timeout with that hearing pending tomorrow, temporary restraining order. By the way, still surprised that the judge in the case, give him some credit because he's a Michigan alum who was hearing this case, and he actually, lectures at the law school at Michigan from time to time.
There you go.
So he's a Michigan guy. A lot of people thought when that temporary restraining order was requested last, Friday night and Saturday morning, because Michigan was none too pleased, as we talked about, Rod, that they dropped that suspension on him on Friday, which was Veterans Day.
Yeah.
And, courts were closed, federal holiday.
Yeah, that was intentional.
Made it a little tougher.
That was premeditated.
But they got to a guy, a Michigan man, who declined to, because a lot of people thought that morning when you were watching the Saturday morning shows that the judge was going to rule in favor and go ahead and sign the TRO and he'd be able to play. No, said, no, I got to talk to you guys. Be in my chambers Friday morning, and that'll be tomorrow night.
Yeah, because I believe you can get a judge to sign off on stuff like that. Without them being necessarily in a legal courtroom or anything like that. They don't have to actually be at an office to do it. But he decided, nah, it's a little too shady, guys. Too shady. I'm a legal right. I'm a judge here. There are kind of maybe some legal ramifications. Nah, we're good. Let's do this in a court of law.
Well, you just wonder, how much is revealed here as far as information Michigan has and is fighting for, or, because Michigan's trying to argue that Ohio State is at the epicenter of all this, and they kind of started this whole thing, and media's run with it. Because I mentioned that, you asked the question, if Harbaugh can't be on the sidelines during the game, could he be communicating with his coaches?
Yeah, can he text him?
And somebody said, does it really matter? In this day and age of technology, Harbaugh still calling the shots from his couch. If you believe he's involved in the sign stealing stuff, would you believe he's not texting his coaches?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
on the lowdown during the game.
That's right. That would have to have been specified in the punishment. Like, no communication on game day at all with any staff or any players on game day. If they didn't say that, then Harbaugh's definitely coaching from the couch, or he's coaching, from his phone or whatever, coaching via text, however you want to say it. Yeah. There's no doubt that's happening because he's a control freak.
Yeah. And, he's speaking of weird guys, about the owner of the Carolina Panthers being weird. Jim Harbaugh's kind of an odd dude.
He is an odd dude, but it's a more of a cooler odd. Like, it's more of a relatable odd that you can hang out with. That the billionaire odd is a weird odd that you really can't really relate to. And if think about you're Frank Reich, you went from the Colts ownership, and Jim Irsay is wild.
Weirdo.
He's wild, and then you went to this dude. You just can't pick him.
Yeah. Well, of course, your owner last year fired you in favor of Jeff Saturday.
Oh.
And that didn't go well. Jeff Saturday's back on ESPN now.
Oh, man.
Coach Cornnuts on the text line says, Ohio State didn't beat Michigan last year because Michigan had all the signs, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
Oh, man, must-see TV coming up a week from Saturday.
C.J. Stroud was asked about that, too. He was asked about it and commented on it.
What did he say?
He basically said he took the high road. He was like, we got to play better. You still got to make the plays, that kind of thing. So he just took the high road.
Go back and watch the two games C.J. Stroud played against the Wolverines. They lost both of them, but he made some unbelievable throws in those games. It was more about the Michigan offense.
Think about it, yeah.
Because Michigan was close game at halftime both times, and then second half Michigan just blew it out.
Yep.
And now they get him in Ann Arbor. All right, let's get to behind the burnt orange curtain. Texas looking to finish strong with 2 games remaining. Let's get more on the Longhorns matchup with Iowa State.
And they were all asking themselves the same question. What is behind that curtain?
All right, let's talk about the Iowa State defense. It's one of my favorite defenses to cover and to watch. They run the dreaded 3 high, 3 down with Sark. This will be the 5th team that's basically run the 3 high, 3 down defense against Texas this season. You got TCU, you got K-State. Remember U of H broke it out as a tendency breaker, and Wyoming, that's their bread and butter defense. They major in it. So you place 4 teams. This will be the 5th team that run 3 high. So remember all me ranting last year that Sark's got to figure it out. You gotta find the antidote to the 3 high 3 down, which has been his kryptonite. If he didn't, then it was gonna cost him dearly in this season. This is what I was talking about, because this is the 5th team that he's got to deal with now. He actually has done pretty well. Some of these wins and have been a little too close for comfort, but I do think Sark is figuring out how to expose the 3 high 3 down. We'll get to that in just a second. But let's talk about the Iowa State defense and some of the personnel, the actual defenders. I've told you guys I like their secondary. They're not elite, but they're assignment sound. All right, they're assignment sound, which means they're not going to beat themselves. You're not going to get busted coverages. You know, Iowa State's one of those defenses. They're going to play with good technique. They're going to play with good fundamentals. Now, Texas has ridiculous explosive talent on the outside, so Texas will win their fair share, but they won't be cheap. They won't give up anything cheap, and that's not really what they do. The secondary, Jeremiah Cooper, he's a DB for them. He actually leads the Big 12 in interceptions, got 5 interceptions and 6 PBUs. He's a good player. I like Bo Frailer. He's essentially, think of him as a hybrid linebacker that they got playing safety, which is a lot. And he brought up the size of these guys in the secondary. I'll just go over the size for the kick. Bo Frailer, 6'2", 220. Malik Verdon is 6'4", 225. These are DBs. Jeremiah Cooper is 6'1", 185. TJ Tampa, even at corner, he's 6'2", 200. Ben Nikhil, 6'1", 210. They're bigger guys in that secondary. Even Miles Purchase, the only guy that's under 6 foot. He's 5'11", 205. You can tell size matters to them in their secondary. And you go look at it right now, TJ Tampa is probably the most consistent in the secondary. He's a semifinalist for the Bednarik Award, actually. He's a really good player. He's going to play on Sundays. But Jeremiah Cooper is the ball hawk back there and makes a lot of plays on the football. And their pass efficiency defense, which is probably the best cumulative way to evaluate a secondary. My man Coach Aquino was big on pass efficiency defense when I was playing at Texas, and we were always among top 5 in the country or close to it. Iowa State pass efficiency defense 9th in all of college football. It's a top 10 pass efficiency defense. Like I said, they're good fundamentals, assignment sound. They don't beat themselves. How about this? They're 4th in all of college football in passes defended. 60 of them. They got 60 passes defended as a defense. That's top 5, 4th in college football, and they're a top 10 pass efficiency defense. So you don't necessarily want to – it's one of those things you got to be very specific and particular about how you attack them in the pass game. They can be exploited, and I'm going to go through that in a second. But you got to be really detailed, oriented, and specific about how you're going to do it. Their rush defense is pretty good too. They're 36th in rush defense in the country, 29th in total defense, 34th in pass defense, 22nd in third down defense. So they're a good defense. Not great, they're not elite, but they're a good defense. They've only allowed, how about this, 4 rushes of 20-plus yards. That's it, the entire season. Georgia also has allowed only 4 rushes of 20-plus yards. Because they're so assignment sound. Right? They're not going to give up big chunk yardage explosive plays because they're assignment sound. They're gap sound. They're assignment sound. They tackle really well in the open field. So they don't give up a lot of cheap stuff. Now, they hadn't played an offense as explosive as Texas offense in terms of the personnel that they have across the board in the weaponry. But like I said, they don't give up a lot of big plays. Like I said, same as Georgia. Only 4 20-plus yard rushes that they've allowed all season long. So getting back to the actual scheme they run, the 3 high 3 down, John Haycock, one of the pioneers, one of the founding fathers of the 3 high 3 down defense. And you guys have heard me ad nauseum break down the 3 high 3 down and what makes it unique. Essentially, the 3 high 3 down is just a presentation. Right? It's just a presentation. They still run the same coverages, the same pressure packages, and the same fronts that they run out of single high safeties and 2 high safety looks. The 3 high is just a newer, the most modern and the newest presentation. All right, where you can basically use disguise and distortion pre-snap. That, to me, that's the most unique element, the most unique quality of the 3 high 3 down is its disguise and distortion, forcing quarterbacks in the passing game to process everything post-snap. Instead of getting your pre-snap read and diagnosis, you must process everything post-snap because your pre-snap never matches up with your post-snap because it's such a malleable defense. It is constantly moving and evolving and giving you a different look. Rotating the safeties, giving you a different look pre-snap and post-snap. So forcing quarterbacks to process everything post-snap, which is tough because that means you don't get pre-snap indicators. And that's tough on the RPO game because the RPO game is all about your pre-snap box count. You're counting the numbers in the box. If you have the advantage in the box, you hand it off. If you don't, you throw it to the tag on the outside. Well, if they're consistently shifting and moving the box count numbers, well, the quarterback can be wrong a lot of times on his count. And if he's got the numbers advantage to the outside or inside in the box, and then you're dealing with the RPO game being all screwed up. That's how it really screws up the passing game because quarterbacks have to process everything post-snap, and it messes with the RPO. It messes with the run game, same thing with the RPO game, but it messes with the run game also because of distortion and disguise because offensive players, offensive linemen need to know where they're blocking assignment.